Hello everyone, welcome back to the ZHP Garage. Hope you guys are all doing well, and today we're going to be going to another designated location because the garage is still tied up. We're going to be working on a 2000 Chevy Silverado. It's going to be lifted 4x4. We're going to be doing the upper control arms on the truck, and it's the same from 99 to 07, just like in the training video when we did took out the tranny in the 99 or the 07, my bad, Silverado. It's the same thing, same as 99 to 07. This way it's bolted in there and the way you take it out, put it in. So let's get going over there right now. Let's see what the master mechanic has going on, and we'll get going.
So we made it to the spot where the truck's at. We're gonna be changing the upper control arms. The bushing or the ball joint's bad. I'll show you how to check the ball joint and why it's bad, what it looks like when it's bad. So we got complete control arms that come with bushings and everything, the ball joint. So we're gonna replace both sides. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So let's get into it. So to check the ball joint, you want the weight of the vehicle on the lower control arm. So move the jack over here, and this is how you check your ball joints. So you get the tire off the ground. And this one you probably don't need to pry, but normally you would get a pry bar and you would come underneath the tire here. You pry it up, you can see this upper ball joint. See how it's flopping around here? It's just shot. So that's why we're replacing it. That's one way of checking, is just jack it up on the control arm and see if you have movement in your wheel and see where it's at. To check the lower, you pry up on the tire, and you can see if it has the lower ball joint. So that's how you can check your ball joints. So we're going to jack it up till all the weight's off the tire. Tire's off the ground. I mean, you can go as high as you want, but I don't need it any higher. I'm just going to go right there. So then you'd want to take a jack stand and you want to put it here on the frame. I'm kind of breaking the law today because I forgot to bring one with me, but normally you'd want to have a jack stand here. Now we're going to take the tire off. Okay, so we're going to change our upper control arm. So first we're going to take off our brake line bracket. It's already part way off. So we got a little 10mm. Normally you'd have your ABS wire ran with it, but being this thing has a lift kit, somebody decided it's better to run it over here. On a normal vehicle, it would be attached, ran over. That's what this is for. It's supposed to run over for the ABS. Can't show you that exactly because of the lift kit and somebody decided to run it in a different spot. So we got our brake line off, so everything's off of it. So now we're going to take the ball joint nut. This one's 18mm. You don't want to take it all the way off. You want to get it like 2 or 3 threads before it's off, all the way at the bottom. Okay. And now you're going to want to hit the knuckle on the side to break the ball joint loose because the ball joint's tapered. So you just take a hammer. It helps if you have a bigger hammer, but I got this cute little guy. Okay, hit on the side, you see it pops loose. Okay, it's going to pop up. Then you take the nut the rest of the way off. But you gotta be careful because see now that so the taper is the only thing that holds ball joint from spinning. So now, because it's popped out of the taper, see now it's just spinning. I can't get the nut off. So you might have to take like a pry bar and push it back down so it's tight in the taper so you can get the last couple threads off of the ball joint. But if you take the nut all the way off and you hit it, it can just fling apart and then stuff can get all crazy. So you kind of want to control it coming apart. So just pry it back down so it's together, and then you can get the nut the rest of the way off. You might have to pry kind of hard on it because the nut's all rusty and stuff and it takes a lot of resistance to get it off. Okay, so we got the nut off. Now it's going to come apart. So you kind of want to hold stuff so it doesn't just flop everywhere. Careful letting that fall over because you don't want to pull the CV joint out. So make sure it doesn't just flop all the way over. Kind of be careful with it. Okay, now we got the control arms all free. So now we're going to take the 2 adjuster bolts out of it. And you got to pay attention to where they go. See, the bolts come from the inside out and the nuts are on the outside. They need to go back together the same way. So these are, I'm using Americana, 13/16. So 21mm. When you take it off, it's easier if you just set it in order. So you just set it on the ground, set the nut, and then you got your adjuster cam. So it has a pin that it pivots in and it's notched. So this would be the outside. And you pay attention to see that they go up. So when you put it back together, you don't want to flip them and have them go down. You do the same on the rear bolt. So same thing, we'll set the nut down. We'll adjuster cam, and we'll try to sneak this behind the shock. So you have to rotate it down for the adjuster cam to clear it, and you can pull it through. Okay, and just pull your control arm out. This whole thing, see this guy's just shot. Bushings are all worn out, I mean they're all original, so we're doing the whole control arm. So get our new control arm, slide it back in, get some of this dirt out of the way, put in our new control arm. And if you need to get it into position, you can give it a little tappy tap with a hammer. It's not gonna bother it at all. So we take our bolt, we gotta go clock it down to get it in there. So wiggle everything to get to line up. Once you get it in, you gotta rotate it around. Then line up the grooves, the alignment cams. Put the outside on, put your nut back on. And when you put this together, when you put the bolts on here, you don't want to, when this is down all the way, you don't want to tighten this up tight in this position. You want to just get these in here snug, and then you want to get it back at ride height, all the weight on the tire, and then you want to come in here and tighten this up. Because if you do it the other way, it's going to put a bind on the bushing, and it's going to just eat it up because it's just twisting on it all the time. It's not what it's designed to. So you want to get the vehicle at ride, and then tighten up your bushings. We got our rear one snug down. We'll put our front one back in. Same thing, just wiggle it around. When this thing's shipped, the nuts on it, but they put the little plastic cover to protect the boot. So take your little cover off. This is trash. Then you gotta line it up, and it works. Helps to line this up when this isn't tight. Also, this is gonna be a little stiffer to move now because it's good shape. Line it up. Put your nut on the slots. Go to the bottom because you put a cotter pin that goes through it. The new nut is a different size, so you get a different wrench. So the new nut, I'm using a 19 millimeter. The old one was an 18 millimeter. So when you tighten this down, you want to make sure that it's actually tightening down because of the taper. I don't think this one is, so you're gonna have to do the same thing. You're gonna have to pry it down as you tighten it until you get it up there tight enough that it holds it from spinning. So these, you don't want too crazy tight, but you want it to the point, you don't want to loosen it to line up the cotter pin slot. You want to tighten it. So get it pretty tightened down. And then once you feel it pretty tight, then you want to look and see where the notch is at. And you want to tighten it up. So see that the one on pretty much any slot you use, it's going to wind up hitting the knuckle. So as you push the cotter pin in, you're going to have to bend it down so you can get it in all the way. So you might need to use a little screwdriver, or you can grab a pair of dikes, grab the end of it and pull it down so you can go around that corner and you can get the cotter pin in all the way. I normally just take the bottom one, and I just go underneath, and then I take the other half and I just go straight down with it, like so. We're gonna put our Zerk fitting in. It's a Zerk fitting here. It's like a check valve. So when you put grease in it, it's got a little ball on the end of it so it doesn't just squish back out. It actually keeps the grease in the joint. When you tighten up the Zerk, don't get crazy, just pretty much snug, okay? And then when you tighten up, or when you put grease in it, you want to watch the boot, and you want to just, when it starts to swell, then stop. You don't need to have grease squirting everywhere to know it has grease in it. Just watch the boot, and it'll start to get tight and expand, and then that's all the grease you need in it. You don't need it oozing everywhere to know that it's greased. So now we got that, we'll put our brake line back on, tighten that up, see it's actually tight. Doesn't need to be flopping. Probably gonna have to come back later and do something different to this ABS sensor. This is pretty not a good idea. Okay, so now we pretty much have this side's done. So now we're gonna put the tire back on it. We're gonna get this set back on the ground, all the weight on the suspension, and then we're gonna tighten up our upper control arm bushings. We're gonna torque our lug nuts down to 140 foot-pounds. So now the wheel's snug back down. Now we're gonna lower it down, tighten it up, torque it. So we got our wheel torqued on. So now we're going to tighten up our upper control arm bushings. You don't need to get crazy with it because after replacing the upper control arms and messing all this adjustment up, you need to take it and get it aligned afterwards. So we're just going to tighten this down to the point that we can drive it to the alignment shop to align it. Now that it's sitting at the right height, we're just going to tighten them down. That's how you do both sides, but we're done with the driver's side. Now we're going to do the same on the passengers. No need to show it because it's just the same thing. You just follow the same steps so you can do both sides. We're gonna go ahead and finish up the passenger side now. See you next time.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video of us doing the control arms on that 2000 Silverado truck. If you thought it was helpful, or if you liked the video, please go down below, hit the like button. Also, go down and subscribe if you're not subscribed already to see more videos like this here on the channel, more how-tos, more builds that we have coming soon. Until then, here's a couple other videos for you to check out, and I will see you guys next time.